Okay, that's 1d8. Welcome back to 1d8 plus 1 Alino Orbs. And from there, that's a form. And in that type of thing, that's rectangles or squares. Those are squares. And in that type of sense, those are squares. But these are rectangles type thing in that type of sense. Rectangles are exactly squares, although some of the frames are different. So I'm going to write a number down type thing. And that's here. The first one type thing was STR type things here. On that, from your abilities and scores. And so the next one type thing is going to be dexterity in that type of sense. So that's also now a number on a list, like a top 10 list. And then that's constitution type thing. That's here. And in that type of sense, that's intelligence. And that's here. And from that, that's wisdom. And that's here. And from that, that's charisma. And that's here. So that was 6 that we ended with type thing in that type of sense. That's perfect. Now that's here. That's summon monster 1. And from that type of thing, that's page 285 type thing. That's the wrong book in that type of sense. And that's Players HandBook book type thing, version 3.5. Players HandBook type thing. It's 285 in that type of sense. That's the first column, then the second, then the third down type thing in that type of sense. Summon monster 1. Then you turn a page to 285 type thing. More description. First column, second column, summon monster 2, summon monster 3, summon monster 4, summon monster 5 type thing on page 286. So that's summon monster 5 right there. And from summon monster 5, that gets on the summon monster list from the 5th level part of that list type thing with the 5. So that's summon monster 5 there. That's 5, and then 5th level list type thing, that type of sense. And that's here, in that type of thing, and it is a summon, which it isn't type thing, that type of sense, so it counts as a summon spell. And then, in that type of thing, it's got summon in the beginning of the name type thing, that type of sense. That's summon, and that's summon, and it is a magic spell, level for a wizard type thing, sorcerer wizard 5. Now that's 5th level type thing. That's 5th level, and that's Hound Archon type thing. And that's Archon, comma, Hound, in that type of sense for a 5th level spell. And from 5th level spell, you turn back in the book type thing. And in that type of thing, that's 51. That's 55 type thing. That's 5th level, that's a dash all the way down. That's the 1, which is like a 0-1 type thing on a list. 0-1, and then to 2 type thing in that type of sense. So that's 0-1, and that's 1 over type thing, that's here, and that's 9th level type thing. So that's 9th level wizard. Go back up from 9th. That's 9th up to level type thing. So that's level, and we have the number 9 in that type of sense. And that's table 318, the wizard type thing. And that's wizard, and that's when you can cast a 5th level spell. It's at wizard level 9. So in that type of thing, that's Archon, comma, Hound from that list, on the 5th level list. And there's 5th level, and that's Archon Hound. Let's see, I've got also, that's pretty legible. That's here right there. And it says Archon, comma, Hound. Now A, there's 2 letters in front of that type of thing, and this is what makes this tricky. That's the A type thing, that's A, and that's H type thing. And in that type of thing, you're going to look up in the monster manual the A. Even though it's the Hound Archon, and you say Hound Archon by writing it out type thing, when you write it out without that comma genome thing in that type of sense, there's the comma, and in that type of thing, you usually say the last word first, and so that's the first word, and then a comma, and then a second word type thing in that type of sense. But this one's written backwards, and you write the Hound Archon first, and you say Hound Archon like that, and so that would make the H the vehicle 1 type thing, that type of sense. But that's a classification of Archon type thing, and from that classification you look up the classification first, and that starts with an A. So when you go to the monster manual type thing, that type of sense, that's the monster manual, and then that's the book, and then you turn to the A's in your monster manual. It's alphabetical across the top in that type of sense, or wherever the people are, and that type of thing, and that's D's. So we're going to go back to the beginning. That's page 16 type thing in that type of sense. And that's Archon right there. And then from the Archon, you go over to the ones with the brown and white bars type thing. And that's up at the top, and that's Hound Archon type thing without the comma and that type of sense. And that's straightforward. That's where it is. So if you turn to the H section type thing, that type of sense, you might find Hydras, but not any Hound Archons. And that's because they use the Archon designation with the A first instead of an H type thing, that type of sense, and put it in a different page. So that's why it's hard to find that type of information. Now in that type of thing, that's back to our 6 block type thing. Now we've got Hound Archon, which is still on the next page with that type of thing. That's 1 plus 16 type thing in that type of sense. So that's 17, I believe. And in that type of thing, that's 1 and 6. We're going to add one more page to it type thing in that type of thing. And that's 17. That's page 17 next to it type thing. Hound Archon, hit dice, initiative, speed, armor class, base attack, attack, full attack, space, special quality, saves, abilities, STR 15. STR type thing in that type of sense, that's string 15 type thing. And then that's dexterity, that's 1 0. And so we put a 0 1 0 there. And in that type of thing, that's constitution, and that's 13. So we've got con, and that's 13 type thing. And then that's intelligence, and that's 10 in that type of sense. And then that's wisdom, and that's 1 3. And that's charisma type thing, or cha, which is con. So that's con and cha type thing, about on top of each other type thing, con cha. So con cha is the same thing in that type of sense, and that's 12 in that type of thing. So now we write constitution type thing out. That's C O N, and then C H A type thing in that type of sense. And now the C's are similar type thing. That's O over H type thing, and N over A type thing in that type of sense. And that's an N. And that looks pretty similar type thing in that type of sense. And that's an N over, so that's con, and A type thing in that type of sense. And those are both the same. So in that type of thing, that's strength, dex, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma type thing. They do look similar type thing. That's where constitution is. And so from that type of thing, that's your charisma and that's your strength. So now over that type of thing, you write that's the base of the hound type thing in that type of sense. So that's base. And then we're going to go add another one type thing here. And then that's going to be an add-on type thing there. And that's going to be your Augment Summon. So then from your Augment Summon, you turn to that type thing, that type of sense. And I might need a second page here because this is somewhat confusing. And then you go back into your PHB type thing in version 3.5. And from there, you find your feats type thing. And your feats might need a prerequisite type thing to it. So now, in that type of thing, that's, where is it? That's here. That's Augment Summoning type thing in that type of sense. That's page 89 or 89. And then that's Augment Summoning, general type thing, and that's a prerequisite, spell focus, and then that's parentheses, conjuration. So now in that type of sense, you remember that there's 8 schools of magic type thing in that type of sense, and one of the schools that we need is conjuration type thing in that type of sense. There, in that, that's one of the schools that we're going to select, and so that school that you select goes in a parentheses of spell focus type thing in that type of sense. So now spell focus is your feat, and then your choice of where to put that feat in the school type thing in that type of sense was the conjuration school. Just like that, type thing in that type of sense. So then that's still part of the same thing. That's really just still burning the first feat in its application of the choice of school type thing in that type of sense. Schools can be found on page 57. That's 5-7. And then that's the 8 schools of magic. Arcane magic are abjuration, and there's conjuration right there in that type of sense. And in that type of sense, they're also the same ones. And here, that's abjuration and conjuration type thing in that type of sense, with gate, refuge, and summon monster 9, and teleportation circle here, right there, on page 196. And that's still in the same book of that means. Now from that, that's your pre type thing in that type of sense, and that was your prerequisite, and we put a 1 there. And then we're going to go further down the top 10 list type thing. The second thing is to take another feat type thing. And humans get a character feat and a racial feat on top of that type thing in that type of sense. In that type of thing, that's Augment Summon. And there's Augment Summoning, then had a prerequisite, and you took that one type thing. You took your prerequisite being Spell Focus type thing in that type of sense. And then your second feat type thing is that you still have to take another feat slot type thing for that, and Augment Summon, which you don't type thing in that type of sense. That's Augment Summoning type thing. Now it adds +4 enhancement bonus to strength, so that's +4 to strength, and then that's your first listing type thing in that type of sense. And then there's 2 strength and that's an and that's the second listing type thing in that type of sense. And third in that type of thing, that is Constitution, right there. That's Constitution. So that's Constitution type thing in that type of sense, and you write that, and it also gets a +4. Now you take out the and type thing in that type of sense. So the first listing type thing, that's here. That's first type thing, that was +4 strength. And then we create another column line type thing, or row line, I mean, for +4 to Constitution type thing in that type of sense, and that's 2 things. Now you go back to your add-on type thing, and +4 to strength with your Augment Summon. So then from there type thing, it goes +4 strength and +4 con type thing to a summon, and that summon type thing was for a summon monster type thing, which at the 5th level type thing had the Hound Archon type thing in that type of sense. So that's +4 to here type thing, and that's a summon to summon type thing, and that's +4 to here type thing. So now that's your Hound Archon, and that's +4 add-on to strength type thing, and that's +4 add-on to Constitution. So now that goes to a 19 strength type thing in that type of sense, and a 17 Constitution. And that's how you do a summon. And remember your feats type thing on that are from page 22 type thing. And that's your feat. And I'm not sure if I've got a marker near it. I might take out some of the other stuff there. But that's your feat right there, taking that type of sense. And that's feats, and that's 1, and there's a second, or 2 ND, 3, 6, 3000, 3 RD, taking that type of sense. The third, second, first level character level third type thing, 3000, second character feat. And in that type of thing, from feats here, that's in addition type thing. These feats are in addition to any bonus feats granted as class features. So it said the word in addition type thing. And so that's IN, and then ADITON type thing, and addition's a plus symbol type thing in that type of sense. So if you have a character feat type thing, plus your human racial feat type thing in that type of sense. That's human racial feat right there. And then at that type of thing, that's your human racial feat. This is your first character feat type thing, and your human racial feat's a feat type thing for you being in your race type thing, and that's also at first level. And that's an H, and that's the R type thing, and F. So human racial feat, an RHF, and a CHF, your character feat. So that's a character, although sometimes on characters type thing, I do a CH first type thing. And then that should be a CF type thing, but I'll do a CH, and then I'll do an F. And that's how you do that type thing in that type of sense. And block that off so that you can remember type thing in your head, like making a magic card type thing in that type of sense. And that's my character feat type thing in that type of sense. And then plus like my next one type thing, which is my human racial feat type thing in that type of sense. And both of those are blocked off type thing in that type of sense, in 03 and like 04 or something like that, or 01 and 02 or something in that nature.